Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of The Cloud Show. Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics in the world, monitoring. That's strange how you can have that as a favorite topic, but yeah, well, here we are. We have a person who is really good at this stuff. We're going to be talking about how to use Azure Monitor at scale for like this, more like a general purpose server monitoring tool. So you can, for example, replace SCOM or similar other tools. The person we're going to talk about all of this with is a person who is well versed in this area. He's an Azure MVP, security MVP. He's been an MVP for a long time. Like he's really, really into all of this tech stuff, and many other things about him as well. We're going to let him give a short intro of himself. But let's talk now about Azure Monitor with John Joyner. Hello, John.
Hi, Magnus.
Welcome to the Cloud Show.
It is great to be here. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you. Absolutely. Like I said before in the intro there, if you heard it, that Azure Monitor is a favorite tool of mine. So this is going to be fun. But first, let's dig into it, man. A little bit about you. There is so much lovely information you sent me here. How do you say the company that you work for?
Accountability.
Yeah. AIT at the end. Very smart.
Yeah. Thank you for the link. Yeah.
Yep. So you're a senior director there, tech person, and you work at this company. And what is that you guys do?
Yeah, we're a service provider. So we have our primary lead business is our SOC. We're an MSSP with many customers around the world that we manage through Azure Lighthouse and our SOC.
Oh.
So we're a cybersecurity MSSP. We have all the Microsoft specializations, and we love that. And then what we're going to talk about today, we also are an MSP, right? And we've been an MSP for 24 years.
Solution provider.
So we've been using all kinds of different tools, and guess what? We're using Azure Monitor, Azure tools now. So we have our MSSP business and we have our MSP business.
Right.
And we're about 250 people, and we're a service provider. Thank you.
All right, cool. And so, other than that, what else do you get? What else do you do outside of work? You're a professor at teaching cloud computing.
I teach a class at the local university as a pro bono, as an MVP thing. Actually, I've done it for like 15 years, 17 years. We do it every other year. And 17 years ago, the course centered. Of course, it was 100% on servers and infrastructure because that's all we had, right? And every 2 years, I update the topic. And now you can guess the topic is 100% Azure. It's a.
I can guess.
Yeah. So that I teach that. Yeah, I do that at the university, and I love living in Arkansas. Arkansas is our motto is the natural state. We're very full of woods and. I
can see some woods there in your window.
Yeah. I have a beautiful office here. It's a cold and nasty though. How are you in Sweden?
Oh no, it's pre-spring here. It's no more winter. It's getting better.
I hope it stays.
All right, so let's dig into it for the remainder of this episode here about Azure Monitor and monitoring servers, right? So servers in the cloud and servers also not in the cloud, right? Anywhere.
Absolutely.
Really.
Yes. I told you I didn't have any notes prepared, but I did actually put 3 bullets on a piece of paper. So,
all right, let's
one
dig
of those
in.
3 bullets is you just mentioned it. It involved servers not in Azure.
Yep.
So the number one big, I guess, takeaway on this show is like, hey, Azure Monitor's changed. It's better. It's new. There's more opportunities. Take another look. That's kind of our takeaway. So, what has changed? What are the drivers? And one of them is Azure Arc. Right?
Yes.
Microsoft calls it adaptive cloud, hybrid this and that. Azure Local is the new, name for Azure Technologies Extended outside Azure. But this ability to surface computing resources in any cloud of any nature, of any OS, anywhere, it's quite revolutionary. And applying all of the hyperscale management and governance techniques that have proven themselves again at planetary scale for a decade, right? Snapping into that model, no matter how small and no matter how isolated your environment is. So Azure Arc, number one big driver, because you can now manage all your servers of all OSs.
Right. So what you do, I guess, then, I mean, I know a little bit about it, right? You set it up in such a way that wherever you have servers, anywhere you have them, you set them up so that they're represented in your cloud dashboards. You can see them up there as if it could have been in Azure, right? But they could have also been in anywhere, Google.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter, right?
AWS, EC2
doesn't matter.
instances.
In your own closet, it still works.
Physical server.
Yep.
We see them all in Azure identically. In fact, you absolutely lose track of whether a machine is an Azure VM or a VMware guest, or you just lose track because they're all managed and presented identically to you. And
it gives you then this one tool, this one place where you can look at all of them, however many and wherever they are, and just manage them and take care of them, right?
And talking about that one tool, that one tool is Azure, which means we have PowerShell and Python interface. We have the portal and GUI interface. We have the API interface. We have a mobile client. We have web clients. There's literally an infinite number of ways and needs to access this platform. So once you start using this platform for your on-premise servers, let's say you had never considered this kind of solution. So like what's a side benefit of that, and that's again, benefiting from that hyperscale exposure. So let me tell you the second thing that is, it would be the architecture change that Azure Monitor went through when it migrated to what we call the Azure Monitoring Agent, the new era agent. And that is, again, what's worth a second look, right? If you had not considered Azure Monitor recently, take a look and inform yourself and test with the Azure Monitor Agent and its new capabilities to be infinitely granular, on what you collect and who you collect it from, and
that's
filtering, infinite filtering options. So
I love that.
You have control valves now all over the place that you didn't used to have with the former monolithic solution based on the Microsoft Monitoring Agent, which is now.
Yeah. Because I remember this. I remember the previous versions, previous solutions, some of them, you could either not have them or just turn them on and they would collect and send all data about everything. And there was no way to really, skim down to like, I only want this subset of data.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't scale to the very large customer.
No. And it sent a lot of information you were never interested in.
Exactly. So you're now in control of that. You're in control of it from a privacy and governance perspective, and from a financial perspective, you're in control now. So you have all of those options you didn't have before.
Great.
And I would say the third reason to look is I gave it the title co-purposing, right?
Okay.
The Azure Arc connectivity and that you get for your non-Azure services. And then once you're in Azure, either via Arc or because you're running in Azure, then you have all of the Azure things like Azure Policy.
Right.
And as I told you, we're both an MSSP and an MSP. So almost all of our solutions, almost all of our monitoring solutions have a security solution with them, or they started as a security solution and now they've grown to include the monitoring piece because it's the same tools doing the same connectivity. So you might be using, Azure Arc primarily for extended updating support, right? For your legacy, you might be using Azure Arc for the on-demand billing, because you can now spin up a Windows server, spin up a SQL server legally, just pay for it, even for a few hours, pay pennies for it, shut it off. You can now do that legally at scale. So there's so many reasons that you might be adapting these new Microsoft tools, either for security or for the other benefits. And now that you've got that, now that you're in Azure, you're using Policy, you're using Arc, you are 80% of the way to using it for monitoring. So those are the three enablers. Okay.
Okay.
So are we good on that, Magnus?
Oh, absolutely. That's stellar. I couldn't have said it better if I tried. So this is excellent. So all right. So we're going to talk a little bit. In a few minutes, we're going to talk about the on-ramp to this and how to get into it, if you're not doing it already. But first of all, what does it take to, if I have servers somewhere, let's say that I have them in my garage, at the company, we have some server racks. what does it take for us to set it up in such a way that we can start using Azure monitoring here and using it as a security solution and so forth?
Let's talk exclusively about that environment you just said. It's a small environment in an isolated location.
Yep.
So it's either a few physical servers, or it's one host, maybe one server and one host, with maybe some guests on it. So in that scenario, if it's, when we're talking small, when we're talking less than 10 guest machines, or a domain environment with less than 10, then basically you're just going to install the Azure Arc Agent 10 times. One time, you're going to install it on each server.
Okay, yeah, because you don't have to roll it out automatically or anything.
When you have the larger environment, when you have dozens or hundreds of servers, there's all kinds of ways to push that Azure Arc Agent out at scale.
Right.
At my company, we recommend if you have a Windows domain, we recommend Azure Policy. I'm sorry, Active Directory policy.
Yes, no, I get it. Yes,
to push out an immediate one-time installation task. And then if you have a Hyper-V based or VMware based plant, there are two other options to connect your whole private cloud at once up to Azure. So that there's slightly different paths for these three methods. But they're all lightweight. Honestly, our customers, we have over 10,000 servers in management through our security.
That's a lot of servers, right?
We've been doing this for 6 years. This exact model, the only change we've had is from the MMA to the AMA,
which means it works well, right? If you keep doing it.
Thank you. And our customers we universally report no issues. Universally report no issues with attaching the machines, whether they're a few. Private cloud or at scale. It's something that our customers, sometimes they have to be informed a lot of because they're not familiar with it. But once they learn what it does and they evaluate it, in a pilot group, then we've never had any issues pushing the agent out. So you push those agents out, you attach your machines. Now they're up in Azure. Step one. Okay.
That's really cool. Yeah. Now,
step two is you're gonna create data collection rules.
Okay.
Azure Monitor data collection rules. You're going to create a small library of them.
Yep.
We mentioned the granular nature of the AMA. You're going to
choose
what to collect. I'm going to collect,
information is relevant.
System logs and application logs, but I don't want to collect the really common noisy events that if you look at a system log, so you can easily at the beginning, well, I'm going to filter out this one or two events that I know are the bulk of all my logs that I don't care about, right? So you just decide what you're going to collect and then the exceptions to what you're going to collect. And you can get granular, like we recommend customers collect the Windows Defender log, right? If you're running Windows Defender on your machine, on your Windows machine, it has its own log. It has a special log. So you need a data collection rule for that log.
The specific things,
so
right?
Most of our customers have about 8 data collection rules to get all the different log types and such. So you get those out there. And then we recommend using Azure Policy. Azure Policy as the governance mechanism to connect 1 or 10 or 10,000 machines to the same, in the same setup, in the same fashion, whether they're in the cloud or on-prem, whether they're Linux, whether they're Windows. We can make Windows or Linux. We can make a single Azure initiative, a single Azure Policy initiative that covers all 4 of those populations. Your Windows and your Linux. You're in Azure. You're not in Azure. We cover them all with one button, covers them all, infinite scale. I mean, what's simple? Reduce the number of moving parts. It's incredibly
simple and very powerful. I love policy as well. So it creates like this set of governance rules around everything, where you can, if any server for any reason doesn't comply, you will notice. You will see that
it's management by exception, right? You have work, a bunch of work at the beginning. You get up to 100%, and then you just watch the 100%. And when it dips out, then you got to that the automatic processes have failed, because automatically you should automatically onboard new resources in there. It's touchless as you onboard new servers and stuff. So that's step 1, connect them to Azure. Step 2, create the DCRs and the policies to do the association of the machines to the rules. And then the third and final step is create alert rules. Okay. You need to decide what you're going to be actively alerted on. Now, just doing steps 1 and 2 is going to light up all the visualizations. It's going to light up the workbooks, the dashboards, all of those things. But then you need to
You can
decide
see how the servers are like take the temperature and everything. You can see how they're doing.
You know, if we could do a demo right now, I could blow everybody away. You know, with the
no time. Sorry.
Insightful tools. You know, the super.
I'd love to see that actually.
So
all right.
So the last step is deciding what you're going to monitor, and we. You know, there's basically two categories of things. There's your performance-based alerts, you know, on CPU memory,
of course,
hard disk, and then there's log-based alerts, you know, NTFS file corruption, you know, duplicate IP address on network, right? So we at Accountability, we've developed a set of under 50, between 40 and 50 Azure Monitor alert rules that we deploy out the gate to our customers.
Cool.
You know, and the exact, you know, the exact nature of those rules is going to be driven by what your experience is and what your server population is. Generally, you're going to be migrating from an existing tool. And in fact, you know, we had great success migrating customers from SCOM to Azure Monitor. And, you know, that starts with an analysis of the alerts that you've been getting from SCOM.
Yes, right? But isn't that hard to make people, you know, change tools? People
no, they come to us. They want to change. They want to stop paying SolarWinds. They want to stop paying for their, you know, systems management licenses. You know,
right? That makes sense. That makes sense. So
and
they
like
kind of know.
So often they're already invested in the Azure platform for a different reason. And then they say, hey, can you light us up using the existing framework that you've deployed for security? Can you now light us up for monitoring? So the rare is the enterprise customer that has no idea what server problems they encounter, right? You know, the almost any shop you know that's going to be looking for a solution like this to be dropped in, they have awareness of what the conditions are that they want to be alerted for. And so you create an alert rule for each one, right? And it's like you can ask, have we, you know, what have our outages been in the last year? Well, there was that one time we ran out of DHCP leases and nobody could log in.
Okay.
Let's make a monitor rule to let us know when our DHCP leases are at 90%.
Smart.
Okay.
All right, makes sense.
So we just through a whiteboard brainstorming, data-driven exercise, you develop the alert list that's important to you.
All right.
And it's works very, very well.
I can hear that. So this is really inspiring. I wish we had lots and lots of time to talk, but before we close out, let's do a final thing. What are your, like, do you have any quick pieces of advice for someone who, well, other than hiring your firm, because that's a given, but any quick pieces of advice, like how do you get into this space if you're not there already?
I hear you. Well, for me, a lab has been absolutely essential, right? So you get yourself a lab. You know, Microsoft makes some training allowances available, you know, through like $150 a month credit, I think, you know, in an Azure subscription. You know, if it's your career, invest a little bit as needed, you know, so get a server, get a physical server, ideally a small Hyper-V host, perhaps, right? So you can have a variety of servers.
Or start some up in Azure.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. You know, and there's actually a published way to deploy an Azure server and make it look to Azure as if it was an on-premise server, so you can get familiar with the tools.
All right, fair enough.
You need a lab. You need to invest a little bit in a lab, and then Microsoft Learn is fantastic. You know, the Microsoft, you know, fundamentals through the expert, you know, intermediate and expert certifications is outstanding. Microsoft Learn has a module on Azure, has several modules on Azure Monitor. So once you have that
basic,
lab,
learning contents and labs available for Monitor and this space and try it out.
Yeah, do the three things I said. Connect your machines, make the rules and the policies, and make the Azure policies, you know, and the data collection rules, and then make the monitor alerts. Those three things, you can practice them at small scale in your lab, and then hopefully the light will go on and go, this is how I could adapt this at scale to my business, or this, I could turn this into a service for my customers. Either one, right?
Very good. Very good. That's spot on. I mean, there's probably nothing more to say, or there's a lot more to say, but we can't dig into all of that. I really, really want to thank you for being on the show today, John. It was an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Magnus. Thanks for letting me chat about this. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure.
Too.
It's a great thing to talk about, and very important as well. So thank you, audience, for watching, and we will see you next time on The Cloud Show.
Bye-bye.